Hi from Canada. If you're not like top-end professional, you feel like a little guy among all these big, super knowledgeable guys, right? But the thing is, today I'm gonna show you companies which literally don't know dynamics and their de-essers actually completely incorrectly set up, and I'm gonna share with you proper settings. And it will not be just my opinion, it will be mathematically proven, and I'm gonna show you how it sounds in the mix as well. SSL Vocalstrip is a complete shame actually, and companies like Izotope, IK Multimedia, Steinberg, manufacturer of Cubase and Nuendo, those guys set up their plugins by default in so weird ways that you absolutely cannot consider it as a de-esser. Even FabFilter de-esser has a mistake. By the way, you have the opportunity to attend one class for free of one of the best audio engineering courses. You will be connected to a real class with my current students who are taking this course right now, and you can decide after it. The point is, I don't convince you by words, I convince you by showing you the real class. This course is designed to save you at least 10-15 years. This field is saturated with bullshit. You kind of have to relearn again and again, literally after like 3-4 years, and unfortunately after like 10-15 years you realize that you absolutely wasted your like first 5-10 years. My course is designed to save you this 10-15 years. We learn critical thinking approach, we bust all myths, we learn how to see molecules of the audio. We have only effective methods and we have pretty all subjects of audio production in this course. We even have homework checking sessions when I open your real projects in real time in front of you, showing your settings, your mistakes and explaining every nuance. It's as a bonus. 9 months real-time classes, convenient monthly payments. Use this video as an example how I explain, and then take one class for free. In the first pinned comment and in the description you can find 260 reviews link, also information about me. Don't waste your time and ask me about the course details with the mail I provided in the first pinned comment and in the description or on the screen. And find out when exactly you can get one free trial class. In a second I'm gonna show you those crazy plugins. Actually I'm gonna prove mathematically why they don't work right, and actually I'm gonna show you in an example by ears so you're gonna realize they actually don't work right. I want to point out how Deesser works. It will be absolutely critically important so you understand why exactly those plugins will have those issues. This is the phrase we're gonna be working on. I specifically use pretty dirty recorded project, much more prominent issue, so you're gonna realize it better. It will be the best example. Check it out. Listen to it.
Treating people just like volunteers.
Sibilances, it sounds like ts and ch. In the beginning it says treating like ts, so it's almost like sibilance. By the waveform, sibilance shorter, like thicker waveform, which means shorter waveform, that's why it's higher frequency. That's why it's sibilance. Then vowels and consonants, they have much longer waveforms, that's why it's more like stretched, and you see those peaks individually over here, as you can see. It's a first sibilance. We have 6 sibilances over here, right? For example, word just. It's a sound s in the word just. This one, obviously smaller one than this big one or this big one, which is a vowel. The same goes for the first sibilance, which is, as you can see, a pretty small one in comparison to neighboring vowels and consonants. However, for human ear, sibilance is much more sensitive. Even though amplitude is shorter, for you it sounds somehow like very bright and very loud actually. So it's a paradox. De-essers work with this principle. Let's say this is vowel, more longer, relaxed waveform. Then sibilance, which is smaller in amplitude but thicker in terms of density of a sound. It has much higher frequency, that's why much shorter waveform, right? And then let's say next vowel or consonant. There is a processor module in the de-esser and side-chain. Side-chain is a secondary chain where inside of the de-esser there is a boss. This boss analyzes incoming signal and gives commands to the worker, which is over here. And worker applies some processing, let's say volume drop for sibilances. You cheat the boss. You tell the boss there is no mid frequencies and low frequencies in the vocal. You basically say to the boss it's actually not a vocal, it's almost like just sibilances, just high frequencies. So that's why inside of the sidechain there is special filter which cuts everything below, let's say 6K, obviously above 6K, full-blown sibilances with their full energy, right? Those high sounds like ts, s, it's obviously above 6K. And sounds O, A, E, P, T, K, vowels and consonants, they have only high-frequency harmonics, which is in comparison much quieter than sibilances. 20% of the energy of vowels and consonants above 6K, that's why they quiet, above 6K. Sibilances almost by 100% above 6K, that's why above 6K they will be louder. So for the boss, this waveform actually doesn't look like this. For the boss, which listens to only high frequencies above 6K, vowel actually will be much quieter like this, and second vowel also gonna be much quieter, and sibilance will be still the same above 6K. Then it's a dynamic processor. Dynamic processor works with the threshold. You make sure peaks go above red line. In the best case scenario, you should not affect other letters other than sibilances with your de-esser. This sound, let's examine this one, for example. What is it? It's people. As you can see, it's pretty long, longer than sibilances. Sibilance is just this. As you can see, it's much shorter. So in terms of time, it's much shorter period of time of the vocal when sibilance happens. This is another vowel, as you can see, it's pawn word, it's much longer, right? So sibilance is always shorter. That's why when you set up your de-esser, it's critically important to engage de-esser as fast as possible. For this, you use so-called attack period of time. So on the settings of de-essers, usually attack time is not available, but it's like built in the plugin. And plugin manufacturer sucks if they set up long attacks on their de-essers. That's why it's pretty important to have very short attack on the de-esser. And if they don't know this principle, they make long attacks and it sucks. Release time. It's how much time takes to stop compression. So basically, it's the end of sibilance, and you also need to set up release actually crazy short. Why it should be short? Because you're gonna create so-called residual compression. I created this term, residual compression, around like 2016 in one of my videos. Seems like a lot of people picked up this word right now and saying residual compression. This is the moment of vowel, de-esser doesn't work. Let's say you apply 6 decibels of compression for the sibilance. It's almost like submarine goes down in volume to -6 altitude. It's a gain reduction meter curve. So it goes down in volume by 6 decibels. It holds it around -6 decibels during sibilance period of time, because all peaks above red line during sibilance. When sibilance finishes, you need to stop compression as fast as possible, but of course not too crazy fast. You don't set up like 0.1 millisecond. You set up roughly 1 millisecond, 5 milliseconds, 10 milliseconds as probably longest. Because if you set up, for example, 50 milliseconds, even 50 milliseconds, it will be too long release for the de-esser. 100 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds like some plugin manufacturers create, it's complete nonsense. Let's say you set up 100 milliseconds. It means it's a period of time from here to here. It will be 100 milliseconds, which means the submarine will be going up to the surface during all 100 milliseconds period of time, like this. Which means your next vowel will be spoiled because de-esser will be applied for the next note for the vowel, which you should not de-ess, you should not compress, you should not drop down highs of the vowel. Vowel already muddy sound, you already sound like O or A or E. Just imagine you apply extra high frequency drop or full volume drop, depending on settings on your de-esser. De-essers can be so-called wide range, which means it drops down the whole volume of the sibilance and including this next vowel. Or it can be so-called split mode on the de-essers, where you drop high frequencies. In either way, you spoil the next vowel. During 100 milliseconds, will be spoiled and will be quieter than needed. Your vocal will start fluctuating, or high frequencies of the vocal start fluctuating. For example, first vowel will be bright, in split mode of the de-esser. Second vowel will be dark during 100 milliseconds because of your stupid de-esser. Your vocal will be brighter, darker, brighter, darker. If it's a wideband mode on your de-esser, it means maybe you already compressed your vocal perfectly. It sounds equal, it sits in the mix perfectly, you know. But then your vocals start to because of your de-esser has too long release. Long attack also can contribute to this issue because you can still have too bright beginning of Sibilance, which means Sibilance still will be too loud. Too much s in the beginning of Sibilance. Let's examine it. First of all, I applied LA to a compressor over here, right? So vocal sounds equal. So let's say I specifically do it to make sure vocal like equal in the mix.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Of course, vocal should be a bit quieter, but I keep it louder so you hear those issues with de-essers. This is SSL native Vocalstrip. It's one of the major SSL plugins. They give this plugin even as a bundle if you buy, let's say, DW controller like UF8, which I have over here on the left side of the table. It has de-esser module over here, right? You set up frequencies, by default they choose 7500 cycles. Why? And analyzing mostly high frequencies. We can try to adjust it a bit to make sure it's a mistake of the plugin, not my mistake. So I'm gonna show you all possible variations and I'm gonna prove my point. So the lower threshold, the more de-essing effect. How this plugin spoils high frequencies of the vocal. Vocal loses openness and highs. Without, it sounds good, it sounds open and bright. With de-esser, it sounds more like
Treating people just like pawns and chess. Treating people just like pawns and chess.
And question is why? Why it sounds so dark? It's because of every time when Sibilance triggers compression, compressor definitely makes Sibilance quieter. The problem is after Sibilance compressor keep going and dropping down highs all the time because release time is too long on this plugin. You can even see this from gain reduction meter.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
As you can see, it's a long sort of movement. I'm gonna make a print screen for you. Drops down and then slowly going back. And during this slowly going back period of time, these de-esser drop down high frequencies of the whole vocal on vowels, on consonants, and vocal sounds instead of sounds more like you know what I mean? First issue, you can say maybe we apply de-essing too much. That's why I can relax the threshold, so I'm gonna apply less de-essing.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
As you can see, it's less than 6 decibels. This is 0, this is -6. Indication go down to -5 decibels only. But vocal still much darker, you know what I mean?
Treating people just like pawns and chess. Treating people just like pawns and chess.
You know, it's almost like unclear. You spoil your microphone tone by this plugin. Maybe with the Lookahead mode it will be working better. Let's try.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
So Lookahead obviously has nothing to do with this. Lookahead, it's like getting to the drop a bit earlier than with the normal mode, so it has nothing to do with too long release, which is the main issue of this de-esser. Listen button is just listening to those high frequencies, what exactly the boss of the de-esser listens to. Okay, you can say maybe we just need to change the frequency. Maybe instead of 7500, maybe we should try 10,000, right?
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Sounds like ts and s have fundamental tone below it, and you're not gonna affect it in this way. So you're gonna have too loud sibilances even with a lot of volume drop. Vocal has too loud ts, ch, ts sounds, you know what I mean? And in this case you only drop high frequency harmonics of the sibilance. Fundamental tone of the sibilance still not under control. That's why 10K makes no sense. Let's say 5500. It's a traditional setting for Waves classic de-essers like Waves de-esser or Waves Renaissance de-esser. So there is 5500 by default.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
I still keep threshold not to have more than 6 decibels, otherwise it will be completely dark. But it's still, check it out, much more open sound without this plugin and much darker with this plugin.
Treating people just like pawns and chess. Treating people just like pawns and chess.
It's even worse than the original settings, you know. The second solution over here is so-called broadband mode, so I switched to it. What it does, it literally doesn't make high frequencies quieter, but make the whole volume quieter in lows, mids and highs every time when Sibilance happens. But again, it's too long release. Now vocal will be okay in terms of Sibilance, but it will be fluctuating in volume on vowels and consonants.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Treating people just like pawns and chess. You know, like, it going like quite loud.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Of course, you can apply much less de-ess and maybe 1-2 dB not to hear those volume fluctuations, but your Sibilances will not be under control with just 2 decibels of compression. Sibilance is too loud over here. Sibilance on this vocal should be adjusted at least by 6 decibels. SSL has new de-esser, which looks like much more advanced. A couple of issues. It's not flexible, actually, de-esser like it looks like, and actually you really kind of like fight with that de-esser. It's like capricious one. Next plugin, it's Izotope RX de-esser, right? So by default it has classic algorithm, threshold, frequency cutoff, they chose 2500 cycles only for some reason. Speed of reaction fast, so sounds like this.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
And it fluctuates in volume. Treating people just like pawns and chess. You know, like this, like quite loud, quite loud. The same issue, you can see it even from indicator how slowly actually release is over here.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Okay, let's check the sound treating. It's like Sibilance, so it makes this adjustment and look how slowly it goes back. And only now finishing. So basically during the whole E sound actually it adjusts volume. So it's like treating. So it's even like very first vowel actually on the rise in volume because of these absolutely incorrect settings on this plugin. Okay, you can say, okay, maybe it's about speed of reaction, but it's already fast. If you go slow mode, it will be even slower and even worse. Secondly, okay, let's try a bit higher frequency because 2500 it's crazy setting actually. We go more like to 6000.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Still volumes, you know. If your release is long, you're gonna fluctuate volumes. It's just different scale, dBFS, full scale, that's why it's called absolute. Right? Look how slowly it goes back. So during whole E, maybe even 3D, it will be going back. That's why it's fluctuating. Crazy. In this mode, in spectral mode, release is much faster, as you can see.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
And even by ears it sounds much better because it doesn't affect neighboring words as much, but still far from perfect. My point is I want to show you default settings on all these plugins, how these plugin manufacturers kind of suggest you their product and saying, hey, look at our plugin and this is how we set up it, you know. One of plugins which also has a mistake, this famous FabFilter Pro De-ess. Pro De-ess doesn't have serious issues, but it has one little bug over here, and this information I'm gonna keep for my students. Again, I put only 10% of the power of my course to my videos. Another very strange emulation is Plugin Alliance DBX 902 Classic De-esser. Original DBX actually quite good de-esser, but plugin. Next plugin is IK Multimedia. Actually, it's pretty good de-esser, but settings by default is crazy again. By default, as you can see, they have 75 milliseconds release. 0, -2, -4, -6. If you listen to right now, don't look at the screen, listen to how actually it fluctuates in volume. It still doesn't sound natural, doesn't sound equal. You know, like something like wow, wow, like darker, brighter, darker, brighter. So I'm gonna be de-essing around 6 decibels.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
When he says chess in the end of this line, kind of dropping down in volume and holding its volume, that goes in volume like you know, like so it's on the rise. So volume fluctuates even though it affects only high frequencies. But still, in this case, I must say it's not too bad. Actually, just because of de-esser itself very good, you just need to make shorter release. Like trading people just like pawn to chess, like equal volume and only Sibilance is under control.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Perfect. You know, so this de-esser is great, but you need to put shorter release. New Wave's de-esser actually is worse than their predecessors.
Treating people just like pawns and chess. Treating people just like pawns and chess.
It sounds like a lisp, you know, it sounds unnatural, it sounds like treating people that's supposed to say, even though it's just like around sometimes 5 dB, sometimes 7 dB of de-essing. On this de-esser you can go like crazy, you can go wide mode, you can go split mode, by default it's some sort of a hybrid in between, you know. You can increase range, you can decrease range, you can use different detection type, it always sounds like this.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Something really strange going on in the de-esser. One of the craziest de-esser is actually stock de-esser in Cubase. De-esser itself actually is very good, but the way how manufacturers set up this de-esser is completely stupid, to be honest. Oh my god, it's completely dark and so fluctuating in volume at the same time.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
As you can see, I de-ess just a bit, like down to -6, just up down to here. First of all, it's reacting to all other letters as well, not only on Sibilances. As you can see, this red indication going down even on vowels.
Treating people just like pawns and chess.
Automatic threshold, which seems like automatically adjusts its volume, should not be automatic. It's completely kind of spoiling all other letters exactly because of this automatic mode. You know what I mean? Release time 150 milliseconds. That's why it's all the time compressing, it making those high frequencies all the time quieter. Not just for Sibilances. Word de-esser, don't get me wrong, you can use de-esser on cymbals with long release times. This plugin is called de-esser, which means it makes sound S on the vocal and make it quieter. So sorry, even from the name of a plugin, I'm gonna be talking first of all about vocals. So as you can see, all these big guys and the most famous companies like SSL, they completely don't understand dynamics and making so crazy mistakes. That's why with my course you're not gonna feel yourself like a little guy among these super fancy plugin manufacturers. You're gonna be completely next level audio engineer. Just check one free trial class, and this course will blow your mind. How to contact me, the information is in the first pinned comment, or in the description, or on the screen.